Once again, a very good morning to you as you are listening to us right here on your Love Music, Love Life station, Smooth 98.1. It is 31 minutes past 7 a.m. It's a brand new day, a brand new week as well. It's a Monday, people, 27th day of January 2025. January is a couple of days from ending, and we'll enter the second month in 2025. This year has been moving quite rapidly, probably one of the fastest years in recent memory for me. Anyway, I can't say for you exactly, but it's a blessing to be alive and to see another day as we get into the world of the papers and take a look at the headlines, the stories that are making the rounds and getting us talking as well. This is Freshly Pressed. You know how we do. Ayokunmi right here, ready to take you into what we will be discussing this morning. So you know how it works. And if you don't, let me clue you in. We'll take the stories. Analysis will follow, as well as your thoughts, your messages, your opinions. We'd love to hear from you all the time. It's an interactive session. I love to always say that. So there are ways you can join us, more than one: WhatsApp, and of course on YouTube. Now, WhatsApp, the number is 0809 444 0981. 0809 444 0981 is the WhatsApp number. On YouTube, you can join us right there at Smooth 981 FM Lagos. Smooth 981 FM Lagos. You can drop your comments there as well. Joining me to analyze the stories this morning and break it all down for us, AB and of course Mr. C are in the building on Zoom. That is very good morning to you, gentlemen.
Good morning, Ayo. Good morning, Mr. C. And good morning to all of the wonderful listeners. Let's make this a money-making Monday.
Good morning, AB. Good morning, Naya. Good morning, Lagos. Let's do this.
Yes, let's do this. But before we do, as is my custom, or as it has been my custom in the last couple of weeks for our YouTube viewers, or those who haven't jumped on YouTube yet, AB once again has another beautiful gold-looking building behind him as his background. So if you are an architecture buff like he is, yes, YouTube is definitely where you need to be to take a look at that splendid piece of architecture that he has as his background. That is all I will say about that. Well, AB, did you want to say something?
It's the Museum of African American History in
There we
Washington,
are.
D.C. An awesome
Ah,
building.
no wonder. It gives me Mansa Musa vibes. Looks all golden and everything.
Got it. Shaped like this, like a ship, also triangular with a V shape. But let's go. People can look it up. Museum of
Definitely.
African American History.
All right. Okay, then, Mr. C, let's begin our journey this morning in the Punch newspaper. The drama in Lagos State, where the Lagos State House of Assembly has tightened security at the Assembly complex as lawmakers hold plenary today. Now, there's speculations that there might be a showdown at the House as the former Speaker, Mudashiru Obasa, on Saturday claimed that he remained the Speaker of the House. Now, over the weekend, if you missed it, he convened a press conference at his residence and says that, as far as he's concerned, he's still the Speaker of the House. And as long as his removal wasn't done properly or followed due process, etc., and so on and so forth, he remains the Speaker of the House. And it's going to be interesting to see what's going to happen today at the State House of Assembly when plenary is to hold today. But Mr. C, all this basketball and all that going on, where exactly are we going with this?
Okay. Thank you, Ayo. So, Mr. Mudashiru Obasa returned to Nigeria I think, over the weekend, and he addressed his supporters in Ikeja. And in his bid to encourage them, he suggested or stated quite clearly that he believed he was still the speaker. Now, this is neither here nor there, and I'll explain why. Now, before he traveled, we now understand that Mr. Obasa hid the two official maces of the Lagos State House of Assembly, calling into question the conduct of the clerk of the House of Assembly and the other officials attached to the House of Assembly Commission. Now, the lawmakers in return replied that they took the old mace from the old House of Assembly. Now, Mr. Obasa may be onto something in the sense that what mace was used to conduct the sitting, because under our law, a mace must be present because the mace is a symbol of authority of the House of Assembly. Now, the bigger picture is this: he's just running around on technicalities. if the majority of the lawmakers do not want you anymore, I'm not sure what the point in pursuing any fight or battle is. What I think he's trying to do now, he's trying to negotiate and obtain assurances with regards to the multiple allegations against him before the investigative agencies. Now, we've been made to understand there's a further meeting this Wednesday between the GAC and the president. Now, we must know that Mr. Obasa is a member of the GAC because the General Advisory Council of the APC in Lagos State, and this is limited to Lagos State, comprises of the president and his wife, former governors, former deputy governors, former senators, and certain influential political citizens. So there's another meeting scheduled for Wednesday. If I was asked to place my money, Mr. Obasa won't show up today. He's not coming today because he needs to iron out and dodge all his I's and cross all his T's with the JC and Mr. President. Now, furthermore, he cannot take the House of Assembly to court because it is clear under Nigerian jurisprudence that the courts will not interfere into the legislative process and procedure of the House, except, of course, he's going to allege that they did not follow due process. Now, it's going to be hard for him because he wasn't even in chambers on this day of his impeachment.
Right.
So it will be hard pressed for him to then get a witness who will testify in his favor. Now, we all know that Nigeria is a wonderful country. If records are required, the right records can be produced. But beyond all of this, Mr. Obasa should sit down and reflect on how the last 18 months have played out. Like he said on Saturday, having the ambition to be a governor is not a sin. It is how you go about it that may be the problem. Now, he's probably the most experienced. Yeah. He's probably the most experienced lawmaker in the House of Assembly. He's been there for the past 2 decades. So he knows how the assembly functions. He knows how the GAC functions. He knows how the APC operates in Lagos State. Can you hear me?
You froze for a couple of seconds there, Mr. C.
Okay, so knowing all of this, the approach he took in the last 2 to 3 months wasn't the best. But today, there'll be no breakdown of law and order. People should just go about their businesses and they'll be fine. The House of Assembly will also be fine because to be Speaker, you have to be recognized and acknowledged by the other members. So it's not by self-declaration that you're Speaker. The same way they voted him in, they have voted him out. And like the Muslim he says he is, he should accept everything that maybe this is something the good Lord has willed, and he should move on with his life. So what he should be doing now is salvaging his political career and legacy. But he cannot go up against the establishment, the political establishment in Lagos State. That is Mr. President and the GAC. It is a swim against the ocean currents, and he will drown politically.
Very interesting times in the political scene right here in Lagos. We will be keeping our eyes definitely peeled to see how all this is going to pan out. All right, let's keep things moving. AB, I'm bringing the story to your table. It's coming out of The Guardian. Now, the executive secretary of the National Agricultural Development Fund, that's the NADF, that's Mohammed Abu Ibrahim, has said that the fund has continued to spearhead transformative initiatives aimed at redefining agriculture in Nigeria by leading the development of agricultural sustainability and economic prosperity in line with President Bola Tinubu's renewed hope agenda. Now, all this was disclosed by Ibrahim at the Federal University of Agriculture, Abeokuta, Ogun State, while delivering the convocation lecture on Saturday. And in his statement made available to journalists in Kaduna on Sunday, the executive secretary said that their ultimate mission is to harness the transformative power of agriculture to drive socioeconomic development through inclusive financing and sustainable support. Maybe that doesn't seem to have panned out, at least not yet.
Ayo, And listeners, had you ever heard of NADF before this morning? This is one of those situations where maybe there is a very good coincidence. There's an academic occasion. The subject is agriculture, meaning there's food. And therefore, this person chose to make a word salad, essentially speaking a lot of big words and saying absolutely nothing. I quote, spare the transformative initiative aimed at redefining agriculture in Nigeria by leading the development of agricultural sustainability and economic, absolute meaningless drivel. If you have done a single thing that aligns with this, your big, big English, we will have better food availability at more decent pricing. So, Mr. whatever his name is,
Ibrahim.
Executive Secretary Mohammed Abu Ibrahim, go back, put down the dictionary and pick up a hoe and begin to actually farm. Let the evidence of this famous Nigerian Agricultural Development Fund become visible and tangible in the lives of Nigerians. Everything else, especially everything he said here in this speech, is utterly meaningless and of no moment whatsoever. He leads a group that has made no difference to Nigerians' agricultural sector. And I'm afraid just going there to talk at Federal University of Agriculture, Abeokuta, good. That is, it's a speech, but it was purely political. Oh, in line with Tinubu's, I hope, agenda. Please, if there's food, I'll be the first to know. There is no food. In fact, we're hearing that 13 more million people are at risk of going into further poverty and hunger in Nigeria. So, Mr. NADF, fa, foul. On this day, in this speech, you said nothing useful to Nigeria.
Very interesting thoughts there, Mr. C. Can we say this is another example of those who are supposed to be in positions of making a difference, just coming out with rhetoric and all the big words and so on and so forth. We will, we shall, we're hoping to, and so on. But we never really see it, a lot of movement, a lot of motion, but not really enough movement.
Yes, sadly, I have to agree with you. Now, I've consistently said on this show, right, that officials of the government, when coming out to make statements, must ensure these statements align with our collective understanding and agreement. So here he is saying wonderful things about a body which truly I had never heard of until the story broke. Now he says they've achieved so much, and the question is, how do we identify these achievements? Where can these achievements be located? How can these achievements be measured? And absolutely no way of cross-checking, verifying that whatever he has said is correct or even partially accurate. So it's been a worrying and consistent pattern with this administration, I dare say. And given their historical antecedents where they claim to be pro rights, pro freedom of speech, one would expect that you'll do a lot better. Now, the truth is this, rounding up, we know when things are getting better. It's like a patient sitting before a doctor. The doctor says you are better, and the patient is feeling all the pains, all the symptoms, all the tribulations. It is the patient that will confirm with a certainty whether he is better or not, or whether he's getting better. It is not the doctor doing the prescription that can tell. But again, what do I know?
That's
All
how
right.
one government official told us on Friday that they are looking at body language as a policy of government. I beg, let's move on.
We're moving into the premium times, Mr. C, and this one is a sad one. At least 20 soldiers died on Friday as terrorists attacked a Nigerian military base in Malamfaturi, a Borno town linking feuding neighbors Nigeria, and Niger Republic. I don't know how much feud is going on there. But among those killed was a lieutenant colonel, also the commanding officer of the base, now according to reporters. Now, several other soldiers were reportedly injured in the attack that is yet to be claimed by any group. Now, we just need to reiterate here that Boko Haram and its breakaway faction, the Islamic State West African Province, that's ISWAP, majorly operates in Borno, although the latter group always takes responsibility for its attacks. It hasn't issued any message or propaganda or anything like that since Friday. And it is such a sad thing to hear. First of all, our hearts go out to the families of those who have lost their loved ones in this particular attack. It's not the first time that we would hear of a daring attack on a Nigerian military installation. This is another of such, and it seemed like the war against terror was making some headway. We've heard and seen a lot of positive reports in that regard, but this seems to be a setback, an unfortunate one.
Okay, thank you, Ayo. And once again, I align with what you've said, that our thoughts continue to go out to the families of those gallant soldiers who lost their lives in battle. Now, Ayo, sadly, this is not the first attack. Now, they've been attacking, these non-state actors have been attacking both soldiers and civilians. Now, in Dumba, which is a fishing and farming community in Kukawa local government, over 40 farmers were killed weeks ago. Complete radio silence, and our thoughts also go to their families. Then we had a forward operating base out of Damboa, which was also attacked. Multiple soldiers also lost their lives. And again, we commiserate with their families and their loved ones. Then fishermen in Gidangari, fishing community, 20 of them were killed. The non-state terrorist actors showed up at about 11 a.m. and opened fire. Now we hear the 149 battalion was dislodged. Now, for the benefit of our listeners, the minimum strength of a battalion is 400, and the maximum strength is 1,200, and it's usually headed by Lieutenant Colonel. Now, in this story, the commanding officer was killed along with 2 other senior officers and 17 soldiers. Now, the bigger question is this: for a battalion to be dislodged, let's even use the smallest number, 400, how many terrorists attacked that base? And we understand from the story the attack went on for hours. So was there no reinforcement? Was there any call for reinforcement? If yes, what happened to the reinforcement? Did they show up? If they did, what did they do? If they couldn't come, what happened? And it's sad that both the Borno state government and the military high command have been quiet on this issue. Now, for how long will Nigerian soldiers continue to lose their lives over incidents like this? The bigger question is, each time they make a show, oh, Minister of Defense, Minister of State, service chiefs, they all relocate to Sokoto for a week or two. And after that, we don't know what's come out of it. And each time they come out to tell us that, oh, we have a handle on the war against terror, we're getting the upper hand in the shortest time possible, we've won. The non-state actors come out and unleash deadly attacks on civilians and military personnel alike. Now, could this be a fallout of the plea by both the minister and Minister of State for Defense for more funding, for more equipment, for more arms, for more ammunition? I don't know. But the bigger question is, with the ones we already have, what exactly are we doing with them? How does an entire battalion get dislodged? Are they not supposed to permanently be on the alert? How are they always taken by surprise? Do they not have sentries? Do they not have watchtowers? Do they not have a general alarm? Do they not have a security measure in place to that as intruders are approaching the base of the camp, everybody's on high alert? Was the Air Force called? Because the Air Force recently has been in news for wrong strikes. They typically bomb the wrong set of people. So was the Air Force called in, okay, we're actually under attack. can you come and bomb the assailants? But again, no news, more questions, no answers. Will there be a review of all these attacks? I don't know. But it would help if there was a review so that we will know what to do to prevent such incidents from happening again. But this is really, really sad. And I just wish something would give. But hey, this is
Mm.
Nigeria.
We always something will give. AB, I know you have a couple of things to say really quickly about this, but I mean, what does this do to the psyche and mentality of the Nigerian soldiers? The fact that these non-state actors can at will decide to attack military installations, that in itself is very, very brazen.
Some years ago, they attacked NDA. That's the level of chutzpah these people have. But beyond that, this attack took place over 3 hours. And like Mr. C said, if you sent out for reinforcement, it doesn't to travel from Lagos to Maiduguri by commercial slow jets takes 2 hours. So I don't see how you can scramble military jets that can reach that kind of place in a shorter time. But setting that aside, now we have lost gallant soldiers. What does Nigeria as a country do to help the families of those whose lives have been lost, apart from January 15th, carrying a thing on your chest and going to lay a wreath? Apart from that, what are we doing for that? That is the next most important question. We want them alive, please. We never want to deal with them, with their families. But when unfortunately they die, what are we doing as a nation to honor and support their families? That is the next question.
That indeed is the next question. Abayomi Animashaw on WhatsApp says there's a video already in circulation showing that Obasa's claims won't go far. He has tried to choke the Lagos State governor. He has delved into politics past his jurisdiction. In fact, he has pitched himself against Honorable Bajabiamila, the current chief of staff, as well. Politics is local. Can Obasa win any election outside Agege? Very good question. Ibrahim Zakari says Mr. NADF indeed is a square peg in a round hole. Let him be reminded that a unit of onions is sold at over 300 naira. I had 500 naira in some places, and a bag of rice is still over 100,000 naira. I think this man must be living on the planet Mars. It's a shame we are where we're at. It's a shame we are at where we are. English rhetorics do not put food on the table. True story. All right, AB, let's jump into the vanguard where there are indications that academic and other activities at the 110 federal government colleges, the FGCs, commonly known as unity schools, may be disrupted soon following a notice of strike by organized labor over poor welfare, among others. Now, under the aegis of the Association of Senior Civil Servants of Nigeria, the ASCSN, organized labor expressed disgust that for the past 2 years, the Federal Ministry of Education has bluntly refused to address the poor conditions of workers. This sounds also very familiar. We're used to hearing this at the tertiary level, but this is at the secondary school level, AB. Another day, another dollar.
Requests since 2023 have been ignored. 110 schools, which must clearly cater for tens of thousands of students. I attended a Unity College. I would argue it was one of the best times of my life. I met people who I would never have known otherwise, and that's why I have a personal network across the nation. There should be almost no town I can go to where I cannot know somebody based on that. It's one of the best things to pull us together as a nation. Now you find that the people there have been having issues with welfare and many other things, allowances and the rest. And you and I both know, or all of us listening know that in every single day since 2023, not a single allowance or salary or emolument to any of those in office has been missed, not to talk of delayed. So it just tells you all about what I take about the priority of, and these are the federal government colleges. These are not state schools. So the federal government basically is ignoring the state of affairs at these colleges. And it is the same federal government that is flying the president and the vice president to Davos, to Ethiopia, to everywhere, is the same federal government that is building a 21 billion naira house for a non-formally homeless vice president, is the same federal government that buys brand new jets. Do you see where I'm going with this?
Right,
A
right.
matter of priority or lack thereof for the educational sector. You're talking of trying to create a productive population. If you don't educate at the primary, you don't educate at the secondary level, who is going to come out at the tertiary level and beyond to be part of those productive people? Meanwhile, they put their children anywhere else in the world to try and ensure that they get a certain measure of education. So this is the problem. The federal government, who is the owner or custodian of these colleges, clearly has zero regard, respect, or concern for the federal government colleges. And it is a darned shame and an economic and educational tragedy.
Very unfortunate what's going on in the educational sector. Sad. I mean, we talk about these things at the tertiary level. Now we're bringing them to the secondary school level as well. Still talking about education, Mr. C, we need to be quick about this one. I just need to kind of breeze into this, even though I wish we had a lot more time. Let's jump into Daily Trust here, where it says that some lawmakers in the National Assembly have set up a bribery scheme targeting federal universities and other tertiary institutions in the country. Now, according to the Premium Times, we can report that lawmakers are using intimidation and threats to force the heads of universities to pay 8 million naira each to approve the allocations in the 2025 budget. These are some very serious allegations here, Mr. C.
Okay, so I very quickly, this is not a new allegation. This is certainly not the first time. Last year, they were reported to have demanded 5 million naira. Maybe with the inflation and the way things are going, they've moved to 8 million naira now. And only the good Lord knows what they will ask for next year. And this shakedown isn't limited to universities, colleges of educations, and the various polytechnics. Literally every ministry, department, or agency is shaken down by the National Assembly. This has been going on since 1999. It's not a new development. We're not a serious country. Now we see that they're getting two of the vice chancellors, supposedly or allegedly, to collect the monies on their behalf and then route it through multiple bank accounts. Why are they doing this? To avoid anti-money laundering detection, to avoid tracing of the illegal proceeds to them. Now, the basic question is this: do they even perform the normal oversight they should do? Why do they see that place as a money-making forum or arena? And until we get our priorities right in this country, we will continue to read stories like this. Now, you would be worried. What is the AFCC, what is the ICPC doing about this? In 2023, the ICPC started a probe into this same matter because in 2023, the same National Assembly demanded bribes from the universities. We do not know the outcome of that investigation. To the best of our knowledge, nobody has been charged in any court in Nigeria. So why are we surprised, and why is this a story?
No consequence. So they'll keep on doing it.
All right, let me take your messages as we round up on the show this morning. Adegboyega Adedeji says, you don't expect the former speaker of Lagos State to just back down or accept the impeachment just like that without roaring. If he does, his supporters, followers, his human shield will see him as a weak leader. Having said that, I think we shouldn't lose sleep over this matter. Politicians will find a way around themselves and reach a compromise. They tend to do. Oluwaseyi says, Obasa will go to jail if he pushes this past what he can handle. Because if the president agrees with his present situation, he could be making matters worse for himself. Even if his hands are clean, state security agencies like the FCC could be sent after him because that's how we rule here. Tony from Marine Beach says, Oblivion, that's where Obasa exists right now. He'd wake up hopefully soonest and realize he needs to return to the same shell he was that led him up there so he can remain politically relevant. He's indeed swimming against the ocean current. It says the army losing 20 to destroy 70 and say it's a success. I'm really shocked. And all right, thank you so much for that. who's talking to us here. Michael says, the way the government is handling terrorism makes me wonder if they aren't benefiting from the attacks somehow. If your house is under constant threat, you move out or defend yourself with extreme prejudice. Okay. Gilbert Musa says, on the recent agricultural declaration, Operation Feed the Nation Master Plan of 1976, if fully implemented, would have addressed the majority of Nigeria's current agricultural challenges today. 1976. Now, that was quite a while ago. Ajayi Oluniloa says, this Nigerian Agriculture Development Fund is another of the many federal government agencies that are just guzzling us scarce resources with absolutely nothing to show for it. Ah, like I said, another day, another dollar. And Idimapuza says Obasa's impeachment is as a result of his failure to follow Papa's instructions. I hear you. And Emeka says Floriat. I can see a KCOBA right there, if you know what I mean. All right, we need to call it a morning. Thank you so much for the message. And thank you so much, Mr. C and AB for keeping a date with me this Monday morning. Always, always a pleasure. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you, Ayo. Thank you, Mr. C, and thank you to all of the wonderful listeners.
Thank you, AB. Thank you, Ayo. And may all our endeavors this week be blessed with fruitfulness and reward.
Amen to that. All right, keep it tuned to Smooth 98.1. It's a Monday, so 8:15, we're going to dive into the world of sports. Tega is in the building. It's going to be the locker room.